Welcome to my next Lost. Season 3 episode review video. Before I get into that, though, pretty important, if you're not caught up to the point where I am rewatching or watching Lost, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention as well as put in the description. If that happens to be the case, you find that you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this detailed review any further to avoid any potential spoilers. And full disclosure, I've already seen Lost 3 times. It's one of my favorite TV shows of all time. I want to rewatch things to let things resonate. As the last few times that I've watched Lost, I've been binging it, so I'm only watching 1 to 3 episodes per week, maybe more. But I'm not the only one that's currently watching Lost. The legendary Crazy Coffee Man, who's always in my comments section for Lucifer, Dexter, Breaking Bad, and other random videos, is actually watching Lost for the very first time. So, join us on the journey and let's discuss this awesome and amazing show. However, I don't want any spoilers past this video or past this episode, just in case. We don't know where the legendary Crazy Coffee Man is, and I don't want to spoil anything about Lost to him. So with all that said, this will be Lost, Season 3, Episode 3. The title of this episode is called Further Instructions, and this will be my review reaction recap after just finishing watch the episode. So we start with a shot of Locke's eyes, and then a shot of the tops of the trees in the bamboo grove, like the actual pilot episode. Locke sees a naked Desmond running through the jungle, but he can't call out. He struggles to his feet and looks up and is nearly hit on the head by Mr. Echo's stick falling from a tree. He makes his way to the camp. He is mute and communicates with Charlie, first by charades and then using a pad and pen. He communicates to Charlie that he needs to speak to the island. Then we have our first flashback scene. Locke picks up a work-seeking hitchhiker, Eddie, who played Jimmy Steve on Shameless. Justin Chadwick or Chackwin, I can't remember his last name, but it's Jimmy Steve from Shameless. During a rainstorm, a local sheriff stops Locke's pickup and asks to see his license and registration. Locke has guns in his truck. After Locke shows him the papers, the sheriff says that he can still take him in for picking up a hitchhiker. You can get taken in for picking up a hitchhiker? I didn't know that. Is that true? And then Eddie interrupts, saying that Locke is his uncle. Back to current time on the island, Locke builds a sweat lodge in the middle of Mr. Echo and Charlie's church. Before entering, he creates an island pudding, and then Charlie stands guard but is told to not to come in. In the sweat lodge, after eating his drug, Locke sits and waits. Boone appears to him. Locke cannot speak, but mouths, "I'm sorry," to Boone. Boone forgives him, saying with sarcasm that he was a sacrifice the island demanded, and that John will be able to speak when he has something worth saying. Boone tells Locke that he is there to help him find Locke's way, so he can bring the family together. After Boone says he wants to show him something, Locke tries to stand up, but he can't. And then Boone says, "John, you're going to need that," pointing to Locke's wheelchair, which has appeared in front of him or them. And then Boone escorts Locke and then confined to the wheelchair through the airport, saying that someone in the airport needs his help. Charlie, Claire, and Aaron are fine for a while and appear to be a family in the vision. He sees Jin and Sun arguing, and Saeed, who Boone says can handle it. Hurley is behind the counter of the ticket agency, entering the numbers into the computer. Desmond is a pilot and has 3 attractive flight attendants. He's helping himself, following him down the escalator. Boone tells Locke that Desmond, of course, is helping himself. Kate and Sawyer are bantering in the waiting line at the scanners while Jack is being scanned by Ben with a handheld metal detector. Boone says that Locke can't help them, at least not yet. And then Boone says, first you have to clean up your own mess. Locke is looking up at an empty escalator and drags himself to the top of the escalator and finds Mr. Echo's Jesus stick covered in blood. Locke looks at his hand now, bloodied, and then back to Boone, saying, "Clean it up, John. They've got him. You don't have much time." John awakens in his sweat lodge, and as he emerges, there is a flash of a polar bear coming out of the fire. John jumps out of the sweat lodge. He tells Charlie that he is going to save Mr. Echo's life. Charlie goes with Locke in search of Echo. During their journey, they find Echo's cross and signs that Echo was dragged by a polar bear. Sawyer only killed one. Locke tells Charlie to go as bad things happen to people who are around him. We go back to our flashback. Arriving at the commune, Locke salutes everybody and shows Eddie their sweat lodge, where family members can figure out what they have to do with their life and find out whether they are a farmer or a hunter. Eddie asks which one Locke is. Locke only smiles. Locke introduces Eddie to Mike and Jan, the commune leaders, and explains that Eddie has been looking for lodging work. Locke says grace and thanks the Lord for helping him stop being angry and helping them find a real family. Charlie continues to follow Locke. Along the way, they discover the hatch has imploded, leaving a Carnivorous pit. Locke, Echo, and Desmond were apparently blown out of the hatch. They find a dead boar and polar bear fur. Seconds later, they hear a growling sound. They start running and stop as Locke hears rustling in the bushes. Locke throws his knife and hits Hurley's canteen, which he was holding in front of him, and Hurley murmurs, "Dude," in shock, like Hurley almost got killed by Locke's knife. That might come into play in the finale of this season. Hurley tells Locke and Charlie what happened when they encountered the others, how they kept Jack, Kate, and Sawyer hostages, and how they sent him free so he could tell the other survivors what happened, and how the dude we have had in the hatch is their leader. Locke orders him to do what the others told him to do while he is going to save Echo's life, and then Charlie warns him about the polar bear. Back to our flashback. After spending 6 weeks at the commune, Eddie asks Locke about his father, but there's nothing much to talk about according to Locke. Eddie then asks Locke about the greenhouse he is never let into. He claims there is too many secrets in this family. When Eddie observes several large bags of fertilizer being taken into the greenhouse, he says he knows what's going on and wants in on whatever they are blowing up. Locke laughs but says he will talk to Mike and Jan and will try to arrange answers to Eddie's questions. Charlie and Locke continue to hunt and see more fur. Charlie is scared, saying that the polar bear is the Einstein of the bear community. John suspects that Echo was dragged into a cave by the polar bear. Locke enters the cave armed with hairspray and his torch. Hurley comes across a naked Desmond who emerges out of the bushes. Hurley gives him a tie-dyed shirt from his backpack, while Desmond tells him he woke up naked after the implosion. In the cave, Locke finds a yellow Tonka trunk. Back to our flashback. In the greenhouse, a marijuana crop is growing. Mike and Jan count their money, pack the drugs, and prepare to flee. Mike and Jan are furious with Locke because they have discovered that Eddie is an undercover cop who has been gathering evidence for the police over the last 6 weeks. Locke insists that since Eddie has never entered the greenhouse, it's not too late. He can still keep his family together, and that he will fix it. Jack always likes to fix things. Remember? Sarah says that. Locke finds a skeleton with the Pearl logo on its clothes. He sees Echo lying on the ground, bleeding and badly injured. The polar bear attacks, dragging Echo by the feet further into the cave. Locke uses the hairspray and the torch as a makeshift flamethrower and burns the bear. The bear lets go of Echo, and Locke carries Echo out of the cave. Desmond explains to Hurley about the failsafe key, and Hurley asks him if the turning of the key was what made the blender noise and the sky turn purple. Desmond replies that he missed it. Hurley says that the island vibrated and also that Jack, Kate, and Sawyer saw it. right before they got bags pulled over their heads. Desmond tries to calm him down, saying that Locke plans on going after them, just like he said in his speech when Hurley is in confusion, says that Locke only said he's going after Echo and the polar bear. Desmond apologizes, saying that he is a bit shook up. Locke tells Charlie that he saw Boone. And then we go back to our flashback. John takes Eddie hunting to cover up his mess. He learns from Eddie that the police chose Locke because he hadn't been here long and didn't have a criminal record and was most subject to coercion. When Locke is about to shoot Eddie, Eddie tries to calm him down, saying that Locke is not a murderer, that he is a farmer. Locke corrects him, saying that he is a hunter. Locke cannot bring himself to pull the trigger, and Eddie walks away. While Charlie gets water for the unconscious Echo, Locke apologizes to Mr. Echo, saying it was all his fault that he had to let Echo keep pushing the button and that because of him, their friends are now captured. Mr. Echo opens his eyes and tells Locke he can still protect them, that eventually he will find them because after all, he is a hunter. The next moment, as Charlie arrives, Echo is still unconscious. As they arrive to the camp, a group of survivors ask for some information regarding Jack and Echo. Hurley tells Nikki that Jack is not coming back because they've got him. We see these characters, Nikki and Paulo, for the season, just randomly have scenes here and there. Locke addresses the group, explaining by they, Hurley means the others. Claire asks about Sun, Jin, and Saeed, and Locke says he is going to find their friends. He does not know how, but he is going to. He asks Nikki, Claire, and Paulo to take care of Echo. Charlie walks away saying that it was a nice speech. Hurley says he had deja vu for a second when he looks at Desmond standing on the beach, throwing rocks at the sea and frowning. And that's what ends this episode of Lost. So I'm going to score it an 8.0 out of 10. Obviously, the character of the episode is going to be John Locke. Charlie with the secondary character of the episode. And then nobody else really did anything. I guess you could say Eddie, but yeah, I don't think we see Eddie again. I don't know for sure. But those are my thoughts on this episode. Of course, I want to hear your thoughts. So if you're a fan of Lost and you want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please consider Hulk smashing the like button. Share the video with a friend. Put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section and interact with me and the legendary Crazy Coffee Man. What would you rate the episode, and who would be your character or characters of the episode? And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. You're watching the video anyway. Subscribe to the channel, join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And you never know what you're going to see on JDev TV.